evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. This is a personal story. I was kind of questioning how do we talk about Reiki. First of all, how many people even know what Reiki is? Well, actually, more hands than I actually am suspecting know what Reiki is. So let me just kind of explain what Reiki is, so we have so that everybody here has an idea. Reiki is a healing meditation type practice that stems out of Japan that originated in the early 1900s and came over to the United States slowly from the 1940s forward. I have been practicing Reiki for over 12 years full time. So this is a personal story that really impacted me that I'm going to be sharing with you with somebody that I was hired as a Reiki practitioner initially. And it became this beautiful journey through end of life and dementia, which we tend to stigmatize as horrible and distasteful. So please bear with me as we go, because this is, hopefully you'll get the same impact that it impacted me. Sometimes it's difficult to explain a story when you haven't lived it. This gentleman's name is Richard, and I met him about only 3 months prior to his passing. At the time when I was brought in by his family, I had no idea what kind of spiritual journey we were about to embark on. I remember the first day I met Richard feeling a bit unsure if he would be even responsive to my assistance in helping him as a result of his disease. He was very welcoming of my support and help, but expressed his fear, not about the Reiki, but about where he was going. He learned to trust in the divine and learned that there was nothing to fear and that his love will continue. I remember one day when he expressed his fear to me, and I placed my hand over his heart. And I asked him if he felt that. And he said yes, and he smiled. And I asked him what did he feel, and he said he felt love, and I said good. So who started out as strangers, Richard was not only a client of mine who I grew to love and adore, but he was also one of my greatest teachers. You see, his ego, or if we talk about his dis-ease of his mind, was weak at best. His ego was completely stripped. And what I saw through this horrible disease was a beauty and a closeness to one's true soul. Now in Reiki, Reiki is also a practice that helps guide you to your own true bright light, or a state that we are born with. And in medical terms, we call that homeostasis. How did Richard impact my life? Well, let's see. He spent an entire hour saying to me, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you for helping me end my life this way. Thank you for helping me transition. Thank you for you and your beautiful light inside and out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because of you, my life is now complete. Dementia is a nasty disease, but there is a beauty when the soul is allowed to shine. I talked to Richard about listening to his soul when his mind seemed so confused and frustrated. And when that happened, to let his soul speak for him. He said, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. Over the growing weeks, Richard seemed to be doing fairly well during our sessions. He would go from being almost completely impaired to not impaired, dancing, and even walking stairs. And one day he walked down the stairs completely unassisted and over to his wife, Annie, and he hugged her. And he told her how much he loved her and thanked her for bringing me into his life. And from my view, he said all this with the action of love, with the ocean behind him and the sun setting. A couple weeks prior to his passing, he began saying that he was seeing heavenly people. Richard many times talked about seeing heavenly people, and at first he was afraid, but learned that there was only love. And sometimes with Reiki, people refer Reiki as love. The more we talked about the heavenly people over the course of a couple of weeks, he experienced many visits from loved ones on the other side, letting him know that everything was okay and they were just waiting for him when his time was near. We would have some pretty in-depth conversations regarding what he was seeing, and my goal was to help him to understand that what he was experiencing was actually okay. I would joke with him and tell him how good he had it, because he had one foot on this plane and one foot on the other, and he would just smile. He often would tell me how he still feels them, and I would ask him, how did it make you feel? And his reply was fulfilled, joyful, and loved. The week before he passed, I noticed a sharp, sudden turn downward that day. He was extremely weak and his sleep was horrible. However, he was very glad to see me as always and began to smile. His vocabulary, speech, thought patterns, and steadiness were very poor. However, it was nothing that we hadn't experienced in the past. He was laying comfortably in his bed when we experienced a very profound encounter. I can only describe to you that it felt like Scotty beamed me down type of experience, where I felt 5 super large, glowing, bright angelic beings of light swoop down. They were vibrating a bright white light silhouettes towering over us. And my response was, oh my God, are you here to take him now? And they said, nope, but we're here to prepare for him. What a gift that took everything I ever knew and understood about the spiritual world to a whole new level. The beauty of what we perceive as dying was undeniably a beautiful gift that Richard gave us to a whole new world. Energetically, Richard felt at peace and ready to transition. For some, that may seem like an ending, but for others, it's like a graduation. The day he passed, he was very frustrated and agitated because he wanted so badly to speak, but his body was very weakened. And I asked him if he had enough strength to squeeze my hand, and he did. And I asked him to speak to me in his spirit form because it was so strong. And he quickly adapted and relayed some beautiful messages to his wife. And then he squeezed my hand to let me know that he was done. He quickly relaxed, and I reminded him that he could go into that place when he was ready, as there was lots of loved ones on the other side waiting for him. Richard was a true blessing. He taught me how to trust and what the feeling of unconditional love truly and unequivocally feels like. What a gift. I can say that I wish I knew him before, but the spiritual world places us exactly where we're meant to be at the right time, and it is never on our time. I believe it was because of the Reiki, the Tibetan bowl healing, and the spiritual guidance, Richard was able to live the kind of quality of life many of us dream of when it comes our time. We talked about filming our experience to share with families battling dementia in hopes that his story could help inspire them. However, he passed peacefully before that, away at his home, overlooking the sunset ocean with his wife beside him. I've never in my life witnessed such a beautiful transition as I did with him. What a blessing. And for those who have never understood Reiki, I did bring some material so it would break. Well, there's some magazines, there's some information, there's medical research and articles are there for you to peruse. And I thank you for letting me share his story.